Okay, welcome back, folks. Today, we're going to take a look at Mach Speed Intercept, which is currently in an alpha test right now. By the time this video is released, you should be able to join the Discord, get yourself a key, and you can try this game out for yourself. So, what is Mach Speed Intercept? Basically, if I were to describe it in terms of game mechanics, it's a mix between SteamBirds and X-Wing the miniatures game. For those who don't know who either of these games, what these games are, SteamBirds was, or actually it still is, a 2010 browser-based, simultaneous, turn-based air combat tactics war game. Yeah, try saying that a few times very quickly. And X-Wing the Miniatures game is basically the tabletop version of SteamBirds, but with the Star Wars IP slapped on it. If you want to take a look at either of these games, I've got videos going through the basic gameplay loops of both of them. I'll put the links down below. But essentially, it's an air combat tactics war game where both players set their turns and the combat takes place simultaneously. All right. So before we go into a match here, we'll just go over the planes and the squadron builder. So what I've done here is that I've made a list and I've picked the most variety of aircraft. It's not the full list, as we can see here. There's a hell of a lot more, but we'll just go over what I've selected here. So the Barracuda Plus, which is this boy over here. This is basically a high agility fighter. It's basically a TIE interceptor from X-Wing. That's the best way I can do it. It's got high evasion, super maneuver. It's like basically got super maneuverability. It's like a fifth gen fighter, the one that you see in Top Gun doing all this weird wild shit. We have the Buzzard, which is basically a ground attack aircraft, but it has a special weapon ability, which we'll go over once the game starts. The Diamondback is basically an X-wing. It's got S-force, I mean swing wings, sorry, which you can open and close, which will change its characteristics in the middle of the game. Then we have the Gnat, which is basically a very cheap missile carrier. It's the cheapest aircraft in the whole roster right now, and it can carry missiles. And we have something called the Screamer, which is basically a TIE fighter. No, it's the like your bread and butter fighter. It looks like a MiG, and honestly, it kind of does perform like a MiG in the game. It's got no missiles on it, but yeah, it's jack of all trades, master of none. And if you play your cards right, it is very deadly, especially in large quantities. So before we go into the game, what we'll do is that we'll take a look over the upgrades and abilities. So here we have the Barracuda Plus, and by default it comes with light missiles installed, but you can take it off. It's worth 2 points. On the bottom left screen here, oh, and by the way, this is all just the alpha build, so everything you see here is going to be subject to change. The development, it's a work in progress, so we don't have any icons here for any of the missiles and whatnot, but it's all being worked on. All I can say is that the core game mechanics are all basically there. They've been well polished to the point where if you want to get into the game and play PvP, you're not going to find too many problems. There's a couple of weapon systems that are currently a little bit broken, but they're in the works of being, nerfed and reworked and whatnot. But anyways, going back to the Barracuda here. So we have light missiles. You also have a variety of other missiles. You've got heavy, medium, shock, and sniper. They all do a little bit different things. The sniper missile is basically a really fast, long-range missile. The shock missile is basically a missile that's area denial and more control. It takes away your opponent's energy, which we will get into once the game starts. And of the aircraft, they have a skill slot. Some of them have two skill slots. And skill slots are basically like pilot abilities. And you can do a whole bunch of like wacky and wild stuff. You've got skills that give you extra damage when you do certain maneuvers in the game, or if you don't do any maneuvers. You've got other abilities like this, the barrel roll, which basically, lets the aircraft do some wild maneuvers in the middle of the game. Then you've got a bunch of other niche ones where you have one here called Miracle, which basically saves your aircraft at the last second. If it were to die, it gives it temporary invulnerability, resets it to 1 HP, and then you're still in the fight basically. Yeah, so we got all that kind of stuff going on here. We will just take one of the stronger ones called Leverage, and we will showcase that in a second. If we take a look on the top right here, which may be a little bit hard to see, you can see all of the abilities that are available to this specific aircraft. So by default, the Barracuda Plus comes with afterburners, which is basically a boost ability. It's got 3 charges on it. So in the game, you have 3 chances or 3 opportunities to get extra speed to do some wild stuff. And by default, the Barracuda Plus comes with barrel roll, right? And yeah, like I said, we will show that later. And yeah, it's got one set of flares. Now, each of the different aircraft have different amounts of flares, and flares are basically the hard counter to missiles. All right, you pop one of these things. Now, just because you pop the flare doesn't mean that the missile automatically, just disappears. It is possible for missiles to kind of like go through flares every now and then, sort of like you can have a War Thunder moment. It happens. It has happened before. It will definitely happen again. We'll see if we can recreate that in the upcoming match here. But there is that. Now, if we go through some of the other aircraft here, I'll just take a couple of just random abilities and just put that in here. Got 4 more points to play. Give this guy this ability. And for this dude, okay, the Screamer here is one of the aircraft that has double pilot skill abilities. So we'll take some random ones, shall we? Yeah, we'll take this one. There we go. Oh, we're above by 1 point. Never mind. We won't take that. Okay. I'll go over what all these different abilities do when we start the game. So there we go. Save the list. And we'll go to the skirmish. Currently, there are 3 maps. This one is like a smaller repeat of one of the larger ones. Um, Once again, all subject to change. We'll go up against the AI, 100 points each. And we'll start that. Okay, so the first part of the game is deployment. So if you were in a PvP situation, both you and your opponent take this time to deploy your aircraft in whatever kind of way that you want within your deployment zone, which is indicated by this highlighted green area. So for the purpose of this video, we're just going to spread everybody out and just talk about all the different aircraft abilities that we've selected here for now. If we take a look at the AI, what the AI has brought is something called a Screamer Swarm. So it's basically 7 Screamers and they don't have any extra abilities. It's just raw Screamers. Perfect. This would be a great way to test and showcase all of our little abilities here. Okay. So once both players are happy with the deployment zones, they click the deploy button in the bottom right here, and the game now begins. So you can see the total amounts of HP on each side in the top right corner here. So I've got 395 hit points total across my whole squadron, and the AI has 455. That's understandable because they have a lot more aircraft than we do. So let's go over the energy mechanics. So if we click on one of our aircraft, you can see here in the highlighted zone, this is where we can maneuver if we were to just maneuver normally, all right? This is what's called the level maneuver or the normal maneuver. Basically, fly casual. You can click and hold the green arrow and you can move it around within the highlighted area. And this basically gives the order to the aircraft that you have selected of where and how you want it to fly, okay? Now, if we take a look down here in the bottom left corner, you can see these numbers in green, 2/2. That is your energy. Now, the Barracuda Plus, it has an extra energy slot because because that's part of its plane ability. So we are capable of not having just 2, but 3 energy. And basically what energy does is that it lets you do a whole bunch of maneuvers that we can see down here in the bottom right. Any maneuver with a negative number on it basically indicates an ability that you can use by using energy. So if you were to click a hard maneuver, which is basically boost in speed, you can see that the highlighted green zone has switched. So this is normal, and if we click hard, this is how it goes. So we can go much further, and in some aircraft, what it does is that it lets you turn harder. So that's the hard maneuver there. We also have the ability to barrel roll. So this is what the barrel roll does. It basically sidesteps the aircraft either left or right. And you can combo this with the hard maneuver. So right now we've got the level fly casual. This is where we can go, and if we click hard, we can go even further. So that's what the barrel roll ability does. The afterburner, which is something you can still chain, we're still chaining everything here. So we've got a barrel roll to the left, selecting the hard maneuver, and then putting the afterburner. The afterburner basically gives this speed boost right here. So this extra arrow that's extending out, this means this is what the afterburner does. It uses one of the 3 charges that we have, and basically this is how far that this Barracuda right here can go. And you know what? For the purposes of the video, we'll just do that. Why not? The Diamondback here is basically the X-Wing. So it has 2 modes. It's got an open wing configuration and a closed wing configuration. By default, it starts in a closed wing. And basically, in the closed wing position, it goes faster. Whereas if you were to open it, which we can't showcase here, but we will showcase in the next turn, because it takes 1 turn to open and close the wings, the game doesn't let you automatically switch it, because that would make it like very, very strong. But yeah, closed wing, you get to move further, but open wing, you get to turn harder. Now, another ability here that I haven't gone over is the evade option. The evade ability takes up 1 energy, and basically what it does is that it makes your plane harder to hit. So if I press and hold shift here, you can see these very faint yellow cones. This is the gun arcs of the aircraft, basically. And whenever an enemy aircraft passes inside one of these arcs, it basically gives the opportunity to our plane to start shooting at them. But each aircraft has an evasion stat, all right? And basically, the evasion stat is what determines how long it takes for an aircraft to get a bead on the opposing aircraft and then start firing. So with the evade option, what happens is that you increase the base evasion of your aircraft. So it makes it harder to hit. Even if the enemy has gun arcs on you, firing arcs on you, if you have the evasion ability on, even though he starts firing, he may not hit you even with his all of his shots, basically. Not all of your shots, but a decent amount of it will be evaded. You can't. It's not invulnerability ability, basically, but that's the evade function right there. We'll showcase that when we get into combat. The Buzzard here has something called the Missile B, which is basically a long-range bomb. So if we click on that, this firing cone that we have here basically allows us to deploy a mine, basically, all the way out in front of our aircraft. And over time, once it gets there, it will start taking down and then detonate. And it has an area of effect. We'll see if we can get that going. Now, as for the Gnat and the Screamer, we've got a heavy missile on the Gnat. It's a little bit different from the light missile in the sense that it just does more damage and we can only have 1 of them. The light missile by default, we can bring 4. Oh, we don't have light missiles, sorry. We have medium missiles, so we have 2 of those. So they just deal more damage. And the Screamer is just base bare bones. So once each player has already set their maneuvers, we then click the end turn button. And all the aircraft execute the maneuvers. So it's because we're not in combat, we don't have the replay function just yet. But once we get into combat, we'll be able to review our maneuvers and show what happened during the dogfight, basically. So we'll take the Barracuda here. Now, one extra feature that was added that wasn't there when I first started playing the game is that we now have this arc right here. And this is basically the range of the missile that's being carried by the aircraft that you have selected. So in this case, the Barracuda Plus, we've got 4 light missiles. This is the range of the light missiles. So once the enemy comes into range, we'll have the option of firing our missiles at them. And then I'll go into detail about missile combat. But right now, as you can see, we are out of energy. We have 0 out of 2, and the icons on the tag here, we used to have 2 green dots. Now we have 3 empty ones. That's the indicator for the energy state. So what we're doing now is that we're doing a recover maneuver, which is the ability to regain energy. Now, by default, if you do a recover maneuver, you regain only 1 energy. But because we took an extra ability called leverage, we get to regain 2 energy in this next turn here. So we'll be back up to where we started. Now, if you take a look at the Diamondback, it's hard to really showcase what exactly has changed, but if you rewind the video, you'll see that we can't go as far as we could earlier when our wings were closed, but we can turn. We can like really turn compared to when the wings were closed. Yeah, we can dogfight in this mode right here. So this is just showcasing that. And if we go to hard maneuver, we can turn even more. Yep, it's wild. But for now, what we're going to do is that we're going to close the wings one more time and just get ourselves into position here. I'm going to start trying to sling some missiles. What we want to do here, which goes do a little bit of tactical analysis, because the opponent here, the AI, has gone for a Screamer Swarm. He doesn't have any missiles, so we have missile superiority. Each Screamer has one flare. So what we need to do is that we need to be careful here in the opening engagement. We need to be able to try to draw out his flares and then deal some damage. And then after that, close the distance and then engage the enemy. Try to see if we can knock one of these guys out. Highly unlikely, but you never know. Dealing damage, even though you don't knock out enemy aircraft, just dealing damage across the board, it's always very helpful. Now for the buzzard, we are still, yep, not even close. So we're just going to keep on flying forward, and we're going to bring the rest of our planes, and we're going to try and converge into center here, see if we can get some force concentration going, try to focus down on one of the screamers and knock it out fast in the opening engagement. So maneuvers are all set. We click the end turn button. I think I accidentally did not take off the missile, but never mind. It showcases that. So the mountains here, I have not talked about that. So this is just basically at this point in time, the only terrain type in the game. You fly into a mountain, you die. That's basically it. You also, oh yeah, I forgot. You also have this thing called the sandstorm. And the sandstorm is an area of effect damage over time obstacle, and it moves, right? So if we hover over the sandstorm like we're doing here, you can see this very faint red ring around it. That showcases where the sandstorm might be able to move in the next turn. And it's basically RNG. So try to keep your distance away from these things if you're not too sure. So going back to the Barracuda here, right, we can showcase our missiles now. So we have the Barracuda selected. You can see that these three bandits are now within our firing range. And we have this new icon that's next to each of these enemy aircraft. What we can do is that if we click one of these icons, it basically tells our aircraft to fire a missile at this target. Target acquired. So we'll do that against that dude over there. We're gonna slow down a little bit because we're already in missile range. We want to try sling as many missiles as we can, so we'll just chill out here. The Diamondback is also in range. We'll fire a missile over here. Target acquired. On this second pair. Let me adjust the. Oh, I can't adjust the volume. Damn. There was a minor update and my volume settings all been messed up. But never mind. Okay, we're still quite far away, but you know what? We'll just see if we can drop a mine over here. These two screamers, oh yeah, if you click on the enemy aircraft, you can see where they can move. And if you click on the bottom right corner, you know, the same way as you would your own aircraft, you can see if they were to do a hard maneuver, which they can, because we can also see that they have 2 energy on this this aircraft right here. This is the possibilities of where they might maneuver. So we'll just drop this one right here and see what happens. Takes time for these mines to activate as well, I believe. I haven't used them too much. And for this other net, yeah, we'll fire off another missile. No, bad idea, because this is the heavy missile. We want to close the distance a little bit and make sure we hit the target so that we don't give them enough time to pop flares. Okay, so maneuvers are set. We will do a recover maneuver with the Barracuda, just so that I can showcase its extra ability here. And we will end turn. Missiles away. Oh no, there wasn't a timer on it. Okay, well, you learn something new every day. So there's the Buzzard's missile. Basically, it reached the target, detonated, had an area of effect, but the enemy slowed themselves down as well, so it didn't do anything there. But we have our own 2 missiles in the air, and you can, if you zoom in closer, you can see which target the missile is tracking. And this is important because you can kind of tell in the event that someone does pop flares, you can see that the missile is now veering away, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to not hit something, right? There's always a possibility something wild might happen with missiles. But because of the range that we opened up with these missiles, it has given an opportunity here for the enemy to pop flares, which they most likely will do. So, because we've overloaded the Barracuda on its energy, by default, it only has a hard maneuver now. It doesn't have a normal state, which is fine. What we're gonna do... No, we're just gonna chill out, basically. Yeah. We'll move off to the left here. We're gonna try flank around this. And we'll keep the Diamondback behind here. See if we can get one more missile off. Now, for the Buzzard. Okay, let's see if we can get one of these here long range missiles off on the left side there. And that, we still have a heavy missile. I think we're almost in range to really... Yeah, I reckon if we fired a heavy missile right now, we should be able to hit one of these guys before they have the option to pop flares. Now, this is because we're fighting the AI. AI isn't that smart, but if you are fighting against an opponent, usually by the time we get into missile range, they'd already be popping flares even long before we fired the first missile. And the flares have like a cooldown timer, so even though you pop the flare immediately, they still stay around for a turn or two, which we will see here in a second. Okay, turn. There we go. Right, so if we click here the replay button, we can replay that whole turn. And what has happened here is that our Buzzard missile missed by a couple of feet, and the enemy deployed countermeasures. So our missiles tracked on the flares, flew right past them. And you can see that right now the flares are still on the board. So if we were to fire a missile now, again, chances are it would just go straight for the flares and then nothing would happen. But like I said, every now and then, you know, may not happen. You get a War Thunder moment and the missile just goes right through the flares and it's over. Our heavy missile, no, it was a little bit too slow. It didn't close the range enough. So this guy's going to have the opportunity to pop flares. And we're out of heavy missiles on that guy. So go back to continue. Now we get into some dog fighting. Barracuda is now on the flank. What we're going to try and do is that we're going to use our boost ability here. Try get in behind a couple of these enemy screamers. And see what we can do there. Our Diamondback is getting close. I reckon if we fire a missile off on this guy here, now you see the flares at the back behind him, they will interfere with our missile just because of the angle. But we'll just do it anyway, because why not?
Target locked.
And what we're going to do is we're going to open the wings, because we're about to get into close range combat here. So we'll go around about here. For the Buzzard, let's see if we can get a hit out of this thing. Yeah, that looks all right to me. Drop it right there. Slow it down. And yeah, we'll move up on this right side here and see if we can engage these two guys. This other screamer on the other far side, he's got to go past this mountain. Hopefully we can get behind it and not have to deal with him for a turn or two. Okay, let's go. Right, so these are the AI's maneuvers. We might get a double hit here.
Target neutralized.
Okay, so that's what happens with the missiles. We actually got a splash with the heavy missile. The enemy screamer here, right, he did pop the flares, but the problem is he turned in with the flares. So basically the missile still kept tracking the guy. That's what I'm talking about. That's what happens. You get a War Thunder moment. It happens. Oh, beautiful. And he's gone. That's splash one right there. Okay, so we managed to do what we wanted to. We thinned down the numbers before we've actually gotten into the thick of the dogfight. And yeah, okay. Let me replay that one more time. Did we get hit here?
Target neutralized.
Yeah, we did. We hit this guy with the Buzzard missile. Oh, nice. So he's taking damage now. You can see, well, you should be able to see the HP. Yeah. Once you've done through the replay, you can select the enemy aircraft and you can see how much HP is left on them. So they're at 43, so they've lost about, I think it's like 70 for the Screamer or something. So we've almost done 50%. Now on the other side here, we actually had some shots exchanged here. Because I think our missile missed. But our Diamondback, we checked the firing arcs. Yeah, we've taken some shots against this enemy Screamer here. So we've already opened our wings. We're getting into a dogfight. We're just going to keep the wings open and we're going to turn as hard as we possibly can into these guys right here and see what we can do. Now for the Barracuda, we're going to use its I'm going to use its last afterburner charge. and try to tail this screamer right here. Try to judge where it might go, and yeah, see if we can get around there. We won't go hard as well. We'll just keep it a normal maneuver. Now this screamer here that we've already done damage to, let's see if we can get another, I don't know, it might be a little bit dangerous. Yeah, we'll try see if we can get another mine off. The gnat, since we're out of missiles on the gnat, we're just going to use it as a gun platform. Go head on, take the screamer head on. And our own screamer is going to 2-on-1 these guys over here, keep them preoccupied whilst the rest of our squadron deals with the rest of the enemy squad. That looks okay to me. Yeah, let's try that. Okay, so the enemy is committing to the turn. Couldn't quite get it with the buzzard right there. That's all right. But now in the gun range, whenever you fire a secondary weapon, it basically prevents your aircraft from firing its guns. So there's a trade-off there when you're using your ordnance. You need to keep that in mind. Let's replay that, see what happened. Got gunshots exchanged all across these three here. So we got more damage done to this screamer. And we received some fire from the enemy screamer that came around the mountain here. You can see the damage done by these bubbles over here. So when you're reviewing the turn, very easy to identify who hit who. We actually got some shots in on this other screamer here by the Diamondback. Okay, nice. So now this is a perfect opportunity to showcase the K turn, aka the turnaround. It's a 2 energy cost maneuver, and basically what it does is it 180s the aircraft. So we selected this maneuver for the Diamondback, and basically it flies the aircraft straight and then turns it around immediately, and it burns 2 energy out of it. So we're going to showcase that there. Our Barracuda is now behind these screamers. We're going to increase their speed a little. No, it doesn't really change that much in this case. We're just going to try tail this screamer, see if we can knock him out. We're going to bring the buzzard in along. We're not going to try expend any ordnance this close. Just go for guns here. We're going to turn the gnat hard right. The screamer is far more maneuverable than the gnat, so it's going to take some time to get in around there. And we're going to go head on with this enemy screamer that's come around the corner here of this mountain. Go head on. Okay. Actually, no. You know what we'll do? We'll showcase the evade maneuver. So we're going to go evade full speed, fly past him. And yeah, we'll showcase this part of the dogfight here. So we'll end turn. Enemy has committed their turns. Okay. Right. So we took 16 damage here. The screamer by default does 15 by its guns alone. And if we replay this, you can see that the aircraft does these sort of barrel roll maneuvers on its axis. That's to indicate that it's doing an evasion. And basically, if we hadn't done that, we'd be almost dead by now. We have mitigated the damage quite significantly. So there's that. Now we've almost nailed this dude over here. Now he also did an evasion maneuver. You see the amount of fire that we're pouring into this guy wasn't enough to kill him. He should be dead by now. We did 27 damage on that. If he hadn't done the evade maneuver, he'd be dead. I guarantee you. He'd be dead. Now, on the other side here, so a Diamondback has done his little 180 maneuver. That's how it looks like there. I'm sure the animation will be changed when we get to the final build of the game. So now we are behind these two screamers that are still turning around to the left here. So we've got good angles. We're going to now try and pursue them. And now we've got to finish off this dude here. And we got to be careful. We've got bandits behind us now. So this is where the real fun begins. Right. Our Diamondback still has 1 energy available. But we're not going to depend on it too much here. What we're going to do, no, we'll just fly level and we're going to recover. We're going to gain back some energy there. On this other side here, we're going to do another turnaround maneuver with that screamer that we evaded with. And we're going to turn the gnat and the barracuda in. So this screamer here is out of energy. He can't do that evasion anymore. And he, by default, has to do a recover maneuver. And a recover maneuver, by default, is a very limited maneuver space. You can see here, this is the only place that he can go right now that's highlighted. So trying to predict where he's going is, pretty easy. So we're going to have the buzzard tail the the bandit here that's almost dead. And what we're going to do with the Barracuda is that we're going to slow it down and see if we can slot in behind this Screamer that's about to pass in front of us here. This should also give us an opportunity to merge with these two bandits over here, or at least one of them that's come around the mountain here in the event they try to hit us here. Gotta be careful. If we've got two guys behind us, might be able to catch up to us here. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. All right. So the two bandits on the left are still committing to this turn. So we got a splash there. We finally killed the Screamer. Let's replay that turn. Yeah. So we predicted that one pretty well by taking our very slow turn maneuver. Basically gave us a bunch of opportunities to get shots in on this bandit here as he crossed in front of us. And it's also put us behind him and his wingman. So we're in a pretty good position here. Took some hits here while doing the turnaround maneuver, but that's all right. When you do a turnaround maneuver, you can't shoot. Even once you've already turned around, you're not allowed to fire your guns. Okay, so with the diamond back here, we're gonna do a hard maneuver and just keep turning around here. We should be able to get in behind one of these guys. Yeah, we'll keep that dogfight over there, isolated position. Gonna bring the Barracuda around to the left. Bring in around either of these guys. The buzzard, yeah, we're gonna commit the turn there as well. And as for the gnat, I think I have the gnat chase down this Screamer over here. Our own Screamer is not gonna have the opportunity to get shots off here. He probably is gonna die in this maneuver here, but that's all right. Okay, and turn. Right, the enemy is now switching up, and he didn't go for it. Okay, so the guy on the right, the reason why we won that one was that he turned away, which gave a shorter window of opportunity for his aircraft to get guns on target to shoot us, whereas we basically flew right through him, and yeah, we had guns on him the whole time. So he's gone. The enemy has now done a 180 with the Screamer that was over here, but we're slotted in behind these two other guys. Okay, all right. We can work with this. Let's see, we can, we're gonna do, we showcase another ability that the Barracuda has. It's a double maneuver. So basically it splits up the maneuver into two separate maneuvers and basically lets you turn really, really hard. What we're gonna do is that we're gonna barrel roll off, hang on. Even if we don't do that, nah, we don't need to do that. Yeah, we're just gonna hard turn to the left here. Get in behind this guy. And as for our Diamondback, we're gonna put our rear to this guy. But in doing so, because he can't maneuver, too far, I'm gonna try and knock out one of these guys. And then what we're gonna do is, well, we'll figure out that one on a later time. Gonna round the buzzard here. Need to 180 the net. Get the Screamer coming around the mountain here. We'll do a recover because we're not engaged. With the Diamondback, maybe not. Because this guy is going to get shots on us right now. And this guy's coming in at us as well. We'll do an evade. We'll do an evade, set ourselves up for the next turn, get out of dodge out of these two guys, and then nail the Screamer after that. Yeah, okay. Let's try that. Yep, they're going to try and pursue us. Okay, nice. So he survived. He hasn't even taken half damage. That's not bad. Okay. Right. Now we have to, by default, have to recover here because we're out of energy. Now, a Barracuda. No, we're not going to fire a missile because when we fire a missile, we lock our guns. We're going to keep that open so that he can try to get as many shots off as possible on these bandits because they're all lined up for him, actually. So we'll do a maneuver like that. Turn the buzzard in. We'll do a hard maneuver with the Screamer to close the distance here. See if we can get shots on one of these guys. Nat needs to recover. That's all right. Okay, let's see what happens. We're going to take some damage here from the Screamer. Yeah, we lost the Diamondback there. it is what it is. But out of that, we got 3 kills, so I'm happy. And we have almost won here. We just need to mop up these last 2 guys. And yeah, we can get him here actually. Not much place for them to maneuver. They've only got 1 energy, and the AI doesn't usually do too fancy maneuvers. So yeah, this guy was setting up all 3 of our fighters on this right side here. There's not much where he can go. The enemy screamer here decided to do a 180. We're just going to turn in like this. Not much place where he can go. And end the turn. That's it.
Confirmed. Splash 1.
So
That
that
was
is
some of the best flying I've ever seen.
so that's a full game of Mach Speed Intercept. Yep. There's still a bunch of other aircraft out there with a whole load of different abilities, and the amount of combos you can get with all the different upgrades and skill abilities and all that. They're all still there. So if you enjoyed this video or like to see more of this game, please comment below, and I'll see y'all next time.